Hello, my name is Dr. Berger. In this segment on issues in recovery, I want to talk to you a little bit about addiction and this true self, false self thing that I've been talking about and how this all fits in. You know, there's been an incredible amount of attention recently in the media about all these celebrities going into treatment. I've been on CNN a couple times talking about Britney Spears and other celebrities that are struggling with their recovery. Let me share a few things with you about this true self, false self, and this addiction thing that I think are going to help you make sense of what's going on and hopefully help you make sense of what might be going on in your life. You see, in our culture, we are focused on having. What that means is that we end up relating to ourselves as an object. I become an object, you become an object. You know, in fact, what was the whole thing behind the women's liberation movement, or at least a big part of it? It was not only equal rights, but women were objecting to being looked at as sex objects. Well, in our society, men are looked at as success objects. We may not be sex objects. Well, I'd like to think I am, so no, that's not true. But we're success objects. And that's because we relate to each other as objects. We don't know how to connect to each other as people. And that's what happens in this culture. So when you relate to yourself as an object, you start thinking about yourself, how marketable am I? In my other segment, when I talked about the true self and false self, the false self develops because I think who I am is not good enough, meaning you're not going to love me, meaning that I'm not marketable. So I've got to become something else. I mean, how much money is spent in this society on plastic surgery and people trying to present a better image to make themselves more attractive or more marketable. So we're obsessed with this. But when we abandon our true self in this way and we try to become this false self, there's a hole inside each one of us. Addiction fills that hole. There's no question about it. I told you my story. I didn't know if I was born an alcoholic, but the first time I took a drink, an alcoholic was born because I felt better. And I think that that's what causes addiction, that we are seeking something to make us feel more alive because we're not connected to who we are. And so addiction starts to manifest itself in all kinds of other ways. We become addicted to experiences that make us feel alive. Everybody wonders about Britney Spears, and my God, look, you know, she even seeks out the paparazzis. Of course she does. That's all she's known her whole life, is to be in the middle of all of that drama and excitement. That's probably the only time she feels alive in her life. So if we don't deal with this hole, meaning if we don't deal with the fact that we've abandoned ourselves in this basic way, then we're going to keep turning to other things and becoming addicted to other things. Patrick Carnes, in his book, called it process addictions, addiction to sex. You know, other people call gambling a process addiction. I think of these as addicted to certain experiences. And that's what's going to happen if we don't really deal with it. The wonderful thing about the 12 steps is they help us find that lost true self. That's what recovery is all about.